Welcome everybody to our second meeting of the month for June. I'd like to lead off the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You want to shut it off?
No, it's fine. You guys are all dying to eat.
Okay, first thing on, all right, first thing on our agenda is to approve the purchase rec for a police computer replacement. They have a tough book that needs to be replaced. They went out and did due diligence to try to get the replacement, and the replacement tough book is $3,105. I'd like to make a recommendation to approve the police computer replacement of one tough book.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. You? Next. This is, I want to talk a little bit, this is for information. Superintendent of Public Works Kyle Amy and myself have been doing a lot of work with, at the end of May, we received an update from DEC, which is a Speedies permit update. All right, the Speedies permit update basically is the result of back in 2023, in March of 2023, we were going for a full-fledged redesign of the wastewater treatment plant. At that time, the people working on it and Delaware Engineering decided to go to DEC and request for a New York State permit application and a permit update based on if there was any changes. DEC said, all well and good, but what we need to do is you need to give us some samples, right? So what happened was the samples were taken and sent in, and then we got the report at the end of March of this year, right, with a new Speedies permit. A couple of things we were required to do. First thing we're required to do is we're required to post it in a paper, which we did. We did that last Friday, correct? And it's just for public comment. No need for us to hold a special meeting on the Speedies permit application. It's just out there, and somebody wants to comment, they're allowed to comment and come back. But I'm going to condense this down a little bit because we deep dive into, which we don't want to do that, but if you want to look into the Speedies permit, it basically calls out two things. One was levels of ammonia to have been reduced from 2 MgL. No, I forget what MgL.
Micrograms.
No, it's not micrograms. MgL. I forget. To 1.6 million gallons per something, I think, in the winter, and 1.2 million grams per liter in the summer. So that's a change for us. Ammonia changes based on volume. Our volume is steady, and the reason we think they put that in there because March a year ago, it was almost perceived that there might have been a volume uptick in terms of our flow. So this whole question is here.
Okay.
All right, and then the second thing that they put in there was thallium, right? Thallium is a byproduct of the medical industry. It can come from hospitals, it can come from pharmacies, it can come from medical offices, and there was one sample showed up with a level of thallium in it. Thallium is something that we don't monitor, we've never monitored for it, but because there was one sample taken that shows thallium, they would like us to put in processes to be able to handle thallium.
So you now monitor it, right?
Right. Which really goes into more in-depth monitoring and then tracking it back to the source and doing all of this stuff. None of this is infrastructure improvements, right? It doesn't change our design going forward, which we submitted for the grant, but it does ask for a lot more work for us and a lot more testing and a lot more, especially thallium, to go to track it down to its source. So what we did was we sent a letter back to the DEC telling them that we think that the ammonia levels in addition of thallium that is outlined in the speedies permit on page 7 will require us to spend more money because we've got to do all of this other work besides the infrastructure work. And we're not sure warranted, right? We're not seeing we don't have an uptick in volume, and we had one sample, and there's so many variables that can go into a sample. One sample by itself doesn't prove it. So we asked for the DEC to give us a letter, to schedule a meeting with us, so we can talk through these issues and figure next course of action, which is where we've done. There's no action needed by you, the board. This is all operational. We're not spending any money. We're going to meet with the DEC. I'm bringing this forward for your information, so you know that what's happening in terms of how we're progressing with all of our discussions with not only our engineering firm, but our licensed operator, CAMO, and our guys at the wastewater treatment plant, so that we're addressing these issues going forward. That's all I have to say, unless there's any questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
I know that in the past sort of year, they've been working really hard to, maybe I'm not totally understanding it, but there's like the volume that goes through the wastewater plant to be treated, which is generally unchanged. But like they've been working really hard to like get the cake less
More capacity.
water,
How about more capacity within the system? Yeah.
Right, more capacity inside the system.
Right.
So, does any of, and they've been doing a good job with that, as we learned last fall. So, does any of this have to do with that? Okay,
Not related.
okay. Because I was like, that's a variable that changed. And was that variable having anything to do with-
Actually, the variable didn't really change it much. It will change when we go forward with the redesign, to replace the sand filters and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But they did the testing to see if there was additional capacity. There was some adjustments made in that sediment,
Right.
but not enough to, that would be the big.
Not enough to change this. Okay,
No, it's not related.
okay.
All wastewater.
It's all this is wastewater. I just want to make sure everybody, I'm doing my due diligence to bring it forward to you, the board, so you know what's happening, right? And when we meet with the DEC, they have not responded, yet to set up the meeting.
Are you gonna bring the DEC up to speed on like our now more
They
than
already
slowed
are.
down?
No, they already are. So we've already submitted the application to them.
Yeah.
So they already have the current application. They know that, from the 5 million to the 3 million. In fact, we're waiting for comments back from them on that design. That was what we talked about last time when they presented one page, and the next meeting I'll present an update to that as well. But essentially, I'm going to tell you, unless something happens between now and then, there's no change. Right? Okay? All right. That's it for Speedy's permit. That's it for the Speedy's permit. But the good news going off of this, really, our EFC grant was due Friday a week ago to submit for the new upgrades. Remember, we got, I think everybody back in maybe owner doesn't know, or we do know, we had applied for the grant twice before, been rejected twice before, but we got a zero interest loan for $5 million. That zero interest loan is only good once you start using it, and then you have 2 years, and it converts to a regular EFC loan, and you have to start paying it back. Right? So we're in the process of starting to move into that direction. In the meantime, we've been working very hard with Delaware Engineering, our wastewater treatment plant, our superintendent of public works, and our licensed operators to come up with a plan. And that's what I told you last time, that was $3 million. We hedged that going into the grant application, and we made the grant application for $3.5 million, only because the cost of things are constantly changing. So our grant application is for $3.5 million, hedging on cost implications. And so that grant has been accepted. We received notification that it's been received. All good news. Right? We'll wait to hear on that. Any questions on the EFC grant?
When do we hear whether our grant application was?
Fall, early fall.
Sorry, I can't hear anything.
early fall is when we should hear back from the EFC.
Have we started drawing down our loan yet?
No, we're close though,
Okay.
being able to do that. We're submitting the paperwork to convert it over to start doing that drawdown now.
When it's done, do we have to convert all of it into long-term debt, or could we use some fund balance to pay some of it off?
So hopefully we get a grant,
Well, right, yeah.
and then if we get the grant,
And-
right,
Right.
it wipes out
All of it.
60, no,
Oh, 6%.
you only get 60% on a grant
Okay.
of your application,
Right.
right? So you get that 60%, 40% then we would have to bond for at the end, if we get the grant. And that long-term, that if we don't convert all of that over before we get the grant, if we don't get the grant, then that becomes the long-term debt as well.
Okay, but we don't necessarily have to do long-term debt. We could do a fund balance analysis and sort of see if some of it can be
We
handled.
don't have that much in fund balance to be able to do that. You want to keep a substantially large fund balance in our wastewater and water because parts are expensive.
Okay.
And off the top of my head, I don't know what our fund balance is, but it's not like we have millions sitting aside there. So my knee-jerk reaction is to say we would not be using fund balance to buy down that debt,
Okay.
only because I think we need to preserve that
Yeah, for expensive
Parts.
parts and stuff like that.
because that's what you want, that's the goal,
Yeah, that's the reason why we don't have a policy for the water and wastewater
fund balance.
fund balances. Yeah. Okay.
Good question. Okay? So, good news, hopefully we get that. All right. All right, so I'm going to now make a motion on items 4, which is create a groundskeeper position, and item 5, appoint highway laborers. I'm going to make a motion to defer that to executive session, because I actually have 2 issues which I want to talk about in executive session. Both are personnel related, so, and come back to those after the executive session. Is that approved?
Yep.
And that'll be at the end of the meeting. All
Is that
right?
an actual motion, or you just?
I made a motion, second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
So we'll go into executive session.
Yeah.
All right. Next item, appointment of ethics board member. We have an open seat on the ethics board, right? Martina and I interviewed 2 candidates, and I don't have a resolution because the last one was just kept moving a little bit, one because of my fault, one because of their fault. We met with the last person this morning. I would like to make a motion to recommend Allison Trala to our ethics board.
Second.
Discussion.
Do we have
All in-
something, do
what?
we have a resume or anything? Because it just
Yeah, we do.
I don't happen to know her.
Martina has them on file. We've gone through the interview, and this is our recommendation.
No,
Yeah.
I'm no good, I'm just curious about.
Can you describe your background to us at all?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
You know, so on Allison, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, I know
So-
Allison personally.
Yeah, I know you do. So
Yeah.
Allison lives here locally. She's lived here 7 years. Prior to that was part-time living here. She has her own private practice business, is very much involved in many of the activities here within the village as well. You know,
Two kids in the
and
local
she
school.
wants to move forward in terms of her involvement with the village, in terms of, she thought this would be a good fit. When Martina and I interviewed her, what was impressed mostly to us was the fact of her confidentiality and how she handles confidentiality because of her business practice, really shone forward as not that the other candidate wouldn't do that, but this candidate, I think, had an exceptional grasp on the confidentiality, had taken the time to really study our ethics code, understood the ethics code and how it pertains to mostly the financial aspects of running our village government, and was excited to want to participate as needed in that. So, if you want to add something, you can add something.
Yeah, sidebar, her profession requires her to abide by a code of ethics that is enforced by the state of New York. So I think there's something there that is useful.
And that's why you indicated there's an
Yeah.
inherent,
Yeah,
because of her business.
she's a therapist.
I was staying away from that part, but that's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Done. Okay. Martina, surplus auction fire department tires. Do we have anything?
I don't have any information. I've requested it, but I don't know
All right.
anything about them.
So we'll table that to the next time. Water department pickup truck and trailer.
Yes,
This is surplus and scrap for a water department pickup truck and trailer.
correct. So the truck, it's an older truck, but a lot of the issues currently is that the rockers and frame are rotted. The motor has a cylinder down and it won't pass inspection. They don't really use it much from my understanding. And then the trailer, it was a homemade trailer. I'm not really sure how or why we obtained that. It does have a registration. But the deck is rotted and the tongue is rotted off the frame. So we have no more use for them. So we'd like to surplus and then just scrap them. Because you're not really gonna get much for them given their current state.
Right. I make a motion to approve the surplus and scrap the water department pickup truck and trailer.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So
We're
done.
stuck in there.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
Martina, I'm gonna keep you on. You can request to close. You can take the next two items if you would like.
I
You can go to-
will. 1 second. Okay, so every year we do our inventory of our records in the basement. We generally do that during Fair Week. So this year I'm requesting to close the Village Hall August 21st through 23rd for inventory and records management.
So moved.
Seconded. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
My next request, I am the incoming treasurer for the New York State Association of City and Village Clerks. Their annual meeting is going to be held in Skaneateles? That will be August.
Where is that?
North of Albany, yes. So just like other trainings that I've attended, I'm requesting that the board allows me to attend this from August 8th through 9th, but the kicker, don't have to pay for it, just the days I'm gone. The actual conference itself and my hotel and meals is covered by the association.
Great. Congratulations.
Lovely.
I make a motion to allow our village clerk to attend this
This
conference.
outstanding acronym. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I have two new items to add. I'd like to make a motion to add a discussion on our mulch sale to the agenda.
So moved.
Favor,
Second.
say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. So our mulch sale was a huge success. So much of a success that we eliminated all of our mulch
Great.
completely. And we have a demand on the books for more mulch that we anticipated having and have accepted money for as well.
Oh,
So
whoops.
Make more.
we're not in the business to be able to monitor how much we have and how much there, so we did the best we could. Everybody did well, but the good news on this is we've already ground up a lot of mulch that's come in from the last year into this year, and now have another mulch pile.
Oh, great.
This mulch pile, though, is not cured. I'm going to use the word cured to it, because mulch, like everything, it gets hot. And we do not recommend that you use this mulch in or around any plantings. So anybody that would buy this mulch has to use it, be warned of that, and would be advised to not use it around plants and or places that would, because it will continue to heat
Yeah.
and destroy the plants. But I would like to make a motion to extend our mulch sale using our new mulch under the conditions that it not be used that way through the month of July.
Just so we get rid of it?
Well, we have a demand, so why not? And these people, the people who want it know the risk factors and they're willing to accept it.
Either that or do we get their money back?
No, they want to buy it. No, they want to buy this. If we approve it, they'll buy it. If not, we give their money back.
With the
If you say no, they get their money back. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Sure. So I made a motion to extend our mulch sale to the end of July.
It also seems that like if it's not cured, then there's probably maybe other seeds and stuff in it that the curing process hasn't.
Right, and they are aware that it's uncured mulch. And where they're planning on using it, one was to cover a bank. Kyle, you can help me, I don't know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, a customer up in Rhinebeck
Right.
was basically using it for fill because the way it
Okay,
breaks
for
down.
fill, sure.
Okay.
Do you want July 26th, which is a Friday, or July 31st, which is a Wednesday?
26th.
I don't care. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Done.
Who seconded?
Guy did.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to add another purchase request to our agenda, and this is for compute services and additional storage. Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Like cloud services.
Okay, so this is a new quote we just received from PCA.
Okay,
I'm adding it to the agenda, it's not on the agenda, I
okay.
just did.
And it's not here. Okay.
Right, that's what I just.
Yeah.
Right, so basically, we have virtual storage.
Right.
We have exceeded, both us and the town have exceeded the virtual storage that we have. So there's a need to add additional virtual storage, which is a physical device,
Yeah.
plus the cost of setting up that physical device.
Yeah.
And then the increase in the cost of paying for that additional storage. So the total bid, geez, I thought I had, is $2,500 for the parts and labor to install, and $800, this is combined village and town, for the ongoing maintenance of the storage. We pay 37% of that amount, right? So we pay 37% of the 2,500 and 37% of the 800, and the town pays the balance. I'd like to make a motion to approve for the additional storage device and the additional the installation and the parts and the ongoing support for our virtual storage that we've exhausted, on the condition the town so approves it.
Second.
And we're only on the hook for 1221, because that's,
Whatever that,
yeah,
37%
37% of
is
that total.
Where does it live?
on the server.
On
In the town.
On
In
the
town.
stage,
Server.
on
On the
the,
server in the town.
okay,
That's
that's what
where
the physical
it
box will be, yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yep.
And they don't need any more power anymore, no, okay.
Did you see the New York, Washington Post or New York Times article that because of AI, we're now reactivating coal-fired plants they were in the process of decommissioning? Like the amount of computing power that we are absorbing as a species is currently requiring a great deal of energy.
To say nothing of Bitcoin and Ethereum and all the other stuff.
Yeah, so every time I think about the cloud, I think about that.
Yep.
A big cloud of pollution.
Yeah, the cloud of pollution being created by our need to keep learning concerts
Everything
with us.
everything forever. What is our data retention policy? Like, do we get rid of stuff after a certain number of years?
So there's multiple forms of data retention. We have physical storage, data retention that gets cycled through and stored out. We have backups that are kept, and I forget what our backup storage plan is, but we have 3 forms of backup that retain backups for X amount of years as well. And I can't quote you the years, but we have ample backup of all of our data
Okay,
for a long time.
so we shouldn't have to keep just getting more and more and more.
No, that was,
data.
I mean, I'm glad you brought it up, because that was the question I asked. I mean, so this is virtual, and so what happens, each virtual machine, like this machine,
Yeah,
gets assigned a virtual block of data,
Yeah.
right? You guys with logins have a virtual block of data.
right,
So when you use it, you're using that virtual block of data.
right.
We've exhausted that virtual block that came with all of our stuff. All right, and this is why we're adding additional storage for that piece, and that's a new hardware device.
Right, but I mean, like, I guess the question is like, how much of this stuff that we're storing how long
many
do we
years
have to
back?
keep
Well,
it?
so a lot of it is up to you as well,
Right,
managing your files, managing your data, making sure you're going in and deleting what doesn't have to be stored. You know, you should be storing stuff that needs to be stored if you're storing it on your block,
yeah, for like.
That's
file
up to
purposes
you,
And all the rest of it, but like,
right? But in terms of our server backup stuff, which is all of our data reports, our treasury reports, our water billing, taxes, all that kind of stuff besides hard copy, there's virtual storage for backup. And so I said, don't quote me on the number of years because that has to be kept for 6 of them years.
Got it.
That's state mandated.
Yeah. So
Okay.
this is cost of running a business. Right? So it's a condition on the towns approving it, which they're putting it on their next agenda to do.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So done. All right. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel-related issues.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to leave the executive session.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to table the creation of groundskeeper position
Second.
for the village of Rhinebeck. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This time, I'd like to make a motion to appoint highway laborer Blake Kessler, effective Monday, July 1st, to our highway department.
Second.
What's the rate?
20.
Thank you,
It's in the
Any discussion?
It's in the resolution.
thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to table the appointment of highway laborer Ryan Amy to the highway department.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Who seconded Blake?
Everybody.
Everybody. It was
At this time, I'd
Eleanor.
like to make a motion to cancel, geez. This time, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn our village board meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Oh, I click on the draw.